What's up, YouTube? It took a lot of courage and time before I could press the record button, but I pressed it now. No going back. And this is going to be my first YouTube video before I get into anything else. This video is probably not going to be heavily edited because I do plan to have heavily edited videos, but I want this to just be the raw version of me. And I kind of just want to go in and talk about what my plan is. This video isn't necessarily meant for the viewer. A lot of it's going to be for me and gaining the confidence to start talking in front of a camera and to, I'm already slowing down, but just, when I come back to this, I can see how I started and how I talked compared to maybe a year from now when I keep going and how I act from there. But without further ado, I'm gonna start introducing myself on this channel. Channel name is Spevy. There's not really any backstory to the name. It's kind of just, I thought of it. It was rare in a lot of usernames. I have the original Spevy username on a lot of apps. So, I thought I might as well go all in on it, and it's my name on every platform. But, but my real name is Cody. And the reason why I tell you my real name is a lot of times I might not even be answering to Spevy. It's not like anybody calls me Spevy outside of, this. But I do plan to do videos with, my friends and other people that aren't me. And one big part of that is going to be, they're not going to be used to calling me Spevy. They're going to be calling me Cody. And the backstory of that name, I was named after Drake and Josh. No, not Drake and Josh. I was named after Zach and Cody. I haven't even watched the show myself. I won't lie. But I'm 16 right now. My birthday is July 19. I was born in 2009. And I live in New York City. Because the reason I put quotations is I live in Staten Island. But I'll go more into, you know, that part about being from Staten Island later on in the video. But that's just my introduction so far and who I am, the a small backstory of my name. And I kind of want to start getting straight into what I want to talk about. I don't really want to do too many cuts if I'm going to edit this. I kind of remember I just want to keep it raw and just talk about what I want to talk about right now. And the first thing, I kind of have a notes tab right here, just, like a little script on what I want to talk about. But why I started out content creation and why I want to do this. And frankly, this is just something I just want to do until I graduate next year. And I might even go farther than that depending on where this goes. But right now, I'm a junior in high school. And, this is around the time when kids start to think, like, what am I going to do when I'm older? And I've had a lot of dreams when I was younger. I'm interested in a lot of form of media. And, the biggest piece of media I've grew up watching is, YouTube. And some of my favorite creators, obvious one out the way, Corey Kenshin. I grew up watching Corey a lot. I'm always gonna be a big fan of him no matter what happens. I'm a big fan of Jacksepticeye, Markiplier, Cub Scouts is another great one. I loved Afro Senju. But those are like my inspirations. Dan TDM, Popular MMOs, Stampy, Sunday. I could go on and on. But these are, inspirations I have for starting YouTube and why I want to get into this right now. But I've had a bunch of career paths and I still have no idea where I want to start going into. I'm sorry, that was my cat knocking whatever down. But I see I already lost track of where I was going into. But yeah, I've had a lot of career paths. Her name is Oatmeal, just in case, you know, in the future. But some of my career paths I had consist of, you know, wrestling. I'm a big wrestling fan. Like WWE, AEW, Stardom, New Japan. I'm a big anime person. I more manga related, but you know, maybe some form of becoming an author. That's another dream I've had for a long time. You could go into, my biggest dream since I was a kid is veterinary. And even to this day, I'm still a huge fan of, wanting to follow that path of veterinary, going to college, getting a degree, and fulfilling that dream because, veterinary was always my dream because I've lost a lot of pets in my life. Most recently, I lost my pet last year in February. So we're almost coming up on a year from that. But I've lost a lot of pets in my life, and you know, it would just be nice to be able to save other pets from people and get a smile on your face from helping others out and not, prevent them from losing their own. But those are some of my other dreams I've had a lot inside of my life. But content creation right now is like the easiest for me to go through with because as of recently, I have a PC. I have a really good setup. Thank God to my family, helping me out. I do a lot of programs that get me money, and I have this opportunity. Ooh, decibels hitting red. Let's see. I'll lower it for y'all. Uh, I just had this opportunity to start this, and I feel like I should be taking advantage of this before I go into college, and I leave. Oh, the light, and I leave. You know, everyone. But that's the reason why I wanted to go into content creation because with I don't have a set out plan yet on what I want to go through with. I kind of want to start testing stuff, and I think the first thing that makes sense for me to start testing is content creation because I have the tools right in front of me, and I should be taking advantage of the tools I have right now. So going into the next one is what would I want to do as a content creator, what I won't do, what are my goals in content creation. And to be honest, I don't really know what goals I have. I kind of just want this to be, this is like a passion I've had for a long time, but I just want this to be, something I can have on the side. And if this is what works out for me, I got my plan to go through and, I could pursue a childhood dream I've had for such a long time. But I already lost track of what I was saying. My goals. So I don't want to set like a subscriber goal yet because there's no guarantee this could go forever if this doesn't work. I kind of want to keep doing this until I go into college. So that would be about a year and a half of content that I could provide. What I do want to provide in content is I don't want to stick to one game. So my favorite game of all time, very controversial take. My favorite game of all time is Overwatch. But I don't think I will ever post an Overwatch video because I feel like when you're set onto one, it's hard for you to just, I want to map out to other games such as like horror games, and I got a few like lists right here that I want to play that I will 100% upload. I got Fears to Fathom, Scratch Creek, that's what it's called. We got Umagari, that's a horror game coming out. Uh, Jimu, that's a chillest art game if I remember. I have High on Life on there. I loved High on Life when I first played it, and I saw it's coming out in February. Neo, I actually never heard of it, but I know it's a series. Because I'm not going to growing up, I didn't play too many of these, not niche, but I didn't play too many other games other than the mainstream games. So I feel like I should probably go in more into that area and try to, expand my taste a little more than just the mainstream games that I play right now. But I do plan to play some of these, and if I gain an audience after some time, maybe I'll start taking recommendations at all times I need to. But that's those are some of the things I want to do. I want to play a lot of horror games, a lot of indie games. I want to play, a lot of fun games that I think I'm gonna have a great time playing. I want to play games that I can involve the people around me with. I have a younger brother, and he's a little in the head, but or not. He's like just an idiot, but I would love to do content with him at some point. But other plans I have is to just, I just want to enjoy my time doing this for the next year and a half. I'm learning how to edit. That's why I'm hoping that I'm not heavily editing this video. But that's my main goal on this. What I don't want to do is just like I said, I don't want to focus on one game and ride with it. I kind of want to expand to everything. I want to, keep everything. I don't know if y'all can hear that. I want to keep everything diverse. One moment. All right, apologies. I had to let oatmeal out of here. But like I said, that's really what I don't want to do, and that's kind of my only don't do. Like maybe I would definitely do some series of games that, like a part one and a part two. But I won't stick to one game. Like I won't be a straight up Fortnite YouTuber. I want to do variety. And another thing I want to go more into is okay, apologies again. I lost my train of thought. What I want to go into is, you know, like why I chose YouTube over streaming. And I know streaming is what's really taking over, the content industry as of recently. You got big streamers like Kai, Speed, Jason, Queso, Jinxie, and they're all great. And I love watching, content. It's my favorite streamer, Jason Oween. But I definitely don't have the household to be doing streaming, especially with loud, family. I got a cat. That cat that doesn't, she's a loud mouth. And just, as a whole, YouTube is what stuck with me my whole life. And I kind of want to go deeper into, you know, YouTube. I feel like I should be following what I've been watching and what inspired me the most growing up. So that's why I chose YouTube over Twitch and doing streaming. And I feel like I have a lot of hope doing it. I have a lot of hope in myself doing YouTube. I don't know how I would perform, but I feel like I'll be entertaining enough at least to gain a good audience. But I just see more for myself going into YouTube and you know, better managing for my time because I'm in a lot of programs and for school. So I just feel like this is what's gonna work best for me, and it just makes more sense as a whole for me to go more into the YouTube industry. And I would love for one day, if I get to that point, I don't want to, you know, put too many expectations, but do class with these big content creators. And I feel like I'm the only person, you know, within my area to be doing YouTube. You got a lot of there's other Staten Island creators like, if you don't know who he is, Danny NYM. He's doing great things as a content creator. And I think the overall goal is for me, if I become something, I want to put Staten Island on the map because, as everybody knows, Staten Island is not really represented as a borough by other New Yorkers, which, makes sense. This is by far the worst borough. But I want to be somebody that, if I can, put a better image onto this place. And when you think of Staten Island and the come up that it could be on, you know, you could think of maybe me alongside those people. And I just want to, put this place on the map a little more than the hate that it gets because it's well deserved hate, but we could lower that maybe. Um, Next part, that was really the main, those are the main topics I wanted to go through. But I guess I could go a little more into myself, like what I like to watch. I went through a few of my content creators, Anime, I love anime. I've been watching anime for a long time now. My favorite anime, well, I'm like I said, I'm more on the manga. If you've ever read I Sold My Lifespan for 10,000 yen a year, it's amazing, beautiful. I got other ones like No Longer Human. I have a manga collection below me. I got some good cops that I got in the city, and I'm a big fan. And if I ever get the opportunity, do something along the lines of becoming an author, I would love to go through with that. I think I'm a great writer when it comes to school, and I think I'm a great writer when it comes to stories because growing up a lot, I was into things like stories, and I would create my own. So if I could go more into something like that, I would love to. Other animes, I have an entire watch list. I got like 20th Century Boys. That's another one of my favorites. I've got Flowers of Evil in here. Tokyo Ghoul, Vagabond, Climber, Blame. Blame is a great one. I finished that pretty recently. That was one of my most recent ones, and even though it's a bit confusing, I find it to be pretty good. But that's enough with the manga yat. I'm also a big fan of wrestling. If wrestling is what people watching are into, I I quit a lot of wrestling games, or I don't play sports games in general anymore. I'll go more into sports in a second, but sorry. Wrestlers. I watch every company. I'm a huge wrestling fan, like huge. I watch WWE. Favorite wrestler in WWE right now, Seth Rollins. Favorite of all time. It is Seth Rollins, but I love John Cena. I cried when he retired. I won't lie. We got other companies like AEW. Right now, my favorite wrestlers in AEW. Oh, going back to WWE, Julia. I love her. Big fan of Julia. I've been watching her since Stardom. But going back to AEW, I'm a big fan of Tony Storm. Konosuke Takeshita, favorite wrestler right now. I love what he's doing. He's triple signed. New Japan Pro Wrestling, another crazy take. I love Shota Umino. I love his character. And Stardom's probably my favorite company out right now. And obvious choice favorite wrestler is Saya Kamatani. She's doing wonders for the Joshi industry for wrestling and women's wrestling as a whole. She's really revolutionizing this as a whole. Like she did a complete 180 for this. But I'm loving Stardom right now. But that's my take on wrestling. Other sports I watch, I like basketball. Uh, Crazy pick. I know I got a lot of crazy picks, but I'm a big fan of the Brooklyn Nets. My favorite player is Kyrie Irving, so I loved when Kyrie was able to come to the Nets. But I'm a big fan of the Nets. My entire family's from Brooklyn, and I feel like I gotta support my family's borough. I mean, New York Knicks. Even though I know those are like you can't root for both, I still like the Knicks. New York is New York. If New York could get a ring, I'll that's enough for me. But I'm a big fan of basketball. Am I good at basketball? Uh, not great, but I could get something done. I'm reliable maybe. But other sports like football, I'll watch it here and there. I don't really have a go-to team. One of my favorite players is Justin Herbert. I have watched a lot of Justin Herbert, but other than that, I'm not really too deep into other sports like football or like a UFC. Even though I'm a wrestling fan, I don't go into much, and that's why I feel like I should start expanding my taste a little more and go into these. And again, if I get an audience, I'll always take recommendations to watch anything I need to. But we're coming up on 20 minutes, or at least in my recording, and that was kind of the goal here. I just wanted to come here, and for our first video, I just wanted to speak about myself, speak about what my goals are, speak about why I'm coming into content creation industry, what my plan is, and that's basically what I have as a whole. Obviously, this one not heavily edited, or as I hope, not heavily edited for the future me. But what to expect in the next videos? I don't know what games are releasing. I'm kind of want to be one of those. I want to be one of those people that play these new games on release. But I'll definitely be looking out for videos. All right, cop car in the back. But if I find something, you know, I'm not gonna be somebody that posts my first video and then waits 3 months to post the second one. Because I know a lot of people they'll post their first video and then they just won't post again. No, I really do plan to go forward with this, and I have a lot of goals in mind for content creation, and I'm really hoping that for me that this could work and actually go through as a backup plan. And in the next video, right now it's the daytime. I normally don't even play the game in the daytime. I don't have a curtain. That's why the sun has been hitting me this entire time. I promise most of my videos will probably be at nighttime. And I have a good lamp right here. I got a mushroom lamp. It's going to be way more vibey in the nighttime. And the feel, because I'm going to be playing horror games, the feel is going to be so much different. So don't expect this to be, the permanent layout. Because the only reason I'm doing this right now, I won't lie, I was, very nervous coming into here. And I was very nervous about thinking of doing the video while family or home, like my mom or my brother being here. So I think it's better for me if I just go in, by myself in the daytime when nobody's home and try to get a feel of talking to the camera by myself. And then guarantee next video they're probably gonna be somewhere in the house. But that's just for, I can't be too embarrassed about what I want to go into if I want to go all in on this. But if you really watched this entire video, thank you, a lot. That really does do a lot for me if I see anybody that's gonna go in. But I don't think I'm not even gonna promote this video. I kind of want this to be unpromoted. I want the first video I'm probably gonna actually start promoting is when I do a gaming video. But right now, I don't think I should promote this. I kind of want this to be for, you know, just to look back on in the future and see what I tried and how I was at the start and wherever in the future. So don't expect it to always be like this. Expect it to be way better quality and way better lighting. And I'm also working on I have a great setup right now, but I should probably keep upgrading this. I'm gonna need a second monitor soon. But I do want to go all in on content creation, and that's practically what I wanted to come on here for. So, again, if you made it here, thank you for listening. I don't really have an outro yet. I'll be working on that. I'll be working on plans on intros, outros, editing style. But thank y'all for watching.